Oh man.
Hey, you know what? A while back, you did a wild conversation on difficult conversations, and I said that deserves to have 10 tenets. So today, 10 tenets of difficult conversations. First two, have it on purpose and let go of the outcome. Rob.
All right. So first off, when we did this, it was amazing. I couldn't believe how many people were in the middle of one or one was coming. So just, I was overwhelmed at that. And so this is really fun to be able to dig a little deeper, have it on purpose and let go of the outcome. You know this, you've heard me talk about this, Tim, is that have it on purpose piece is all about composing yourself under pressure. And so not only is this just kind of naturally good advice, I think, for all of us, but also our research made it pretty clear that when you go into high pressure moments, and for many people, difficult but important conversations are high pressure moments, knowing your purpose was absolutely critical. And so it's like purpose was this anchor in the midst of the storm, that actually centered people in those moments, and having, when they're approaching this conversation that they may not want to have. And by the way, people who do want to have them probably have a different problem. They're like, bring it on. So what we found is that purpose and this is what is so different about this, is thinking about why you are in that conversation before you have it, long before you have it. And I would even go so far as to suggest that you might write it down. Why are you in this conversation? If it's a family member, what is that relationship and why are you in that? If it's a person at work, if it's a really difficult conversation at work, is what is your purpose in that? Not just for you, but for them. Like, what is it? What's the purpose in maintaining this relationship? Do you want me to cover the second one and then we can backtrack into the first?
However you want to do it, man. This is your
Okay.
show.
So it's not my show. It's our show. So if this is a disaster, call Tim, please.
We both
That
own
was
it.
the first big one that we could play with. It's kind of, this purpose is really critical. And I say this because people don't do this. They start to execute and they don't think about why. Or they're like, how do I have this conversation? And it's like, I don't want to talk to you about that until we've talked about, why are you in this? Why is this important to you? Why is this important to them? And then the second thing is letting go of the outcome, which is even more provoking into the reason why you do this. So letting go of the outcome is so counterintuitive. So in most cases, if you are holding on to the outcome that this conversation you're about to have is going to change the other person, you will lose the power of it. It's like, and so it's not saying that outcomes aren't important and there isn't a good chance that something might not change. But that's the crazy thing, is you have to let go of your intent to change them in order to be effective and true to yourself. So, but that's very counterintuitive. You know what I mean? It's like most of the time we're like, I'm going to have this conversation, I need this person to change.
Yep.
And it's the wrong intent. It doesn't work very well that way.
Well, and when you come into difficult conversations, first of all, everybody kind of knows it's coming. And so everybody comes in a little bit nervous and a lot on guard.
Yeah.
So if your purpose is to change someone or to push them into your outcome and you make that clear, you're just going to meet resistance.
Yeah.
You're not going to actually have a conversation. It's going to be more like, hey, this is what I need you to do. And they're going to have all the reasons for why they can't do it that way or why they've tried to and it didn't work and everything. So I like what you said about the purpose. Have a purpose for me and for you, right? Because if we look at both people in the situation or all parties in the situation, we should recognize what type of outcome would be ideal for them.
Yeah.
What type of outcome they would like to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's not a good situation to be having this conversation, if we can come to the table and say, hey, look, and we have a conversation that says, I am looking to accomplish this for me, and I'm looking to accomplish this for you. I think this is probably what you want out of it. Like, does that make sense? And are we on the same page? And kind of level set with, this is not a one-sided thing. Like, we need a purpose in this conversation, right? Because ideally, you want a relationship afterwards. You want a
Yep.
good relationship, or at least a relationship in the works.
Yeah. And it's I think most of us want to show up in these conversations well. And that's why it makes sense practically, but that's what our research showed around this was that if I know why I'm in it, I always use this example. If I'm having a conversation with one of my sons and it's difficult, and you can insert anyone's name that you want to in that. What we found was that if I can be clear about why I'm in that why am I my son's dad in this season of my life and why is this conversation important? If I know that, this conversation can take all kinds of twists and turns, but I'm anchored in purpose. I'm anchored in a reason I'm there that's beyond the outcome, which is why the two of them kind of relate together, I think.
Well, that's a really good analogy, actually, right? Because why are you his dad in this season, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Relationships change over time, and a lot of times, as leaders or as parents or community leaders, we get caught up in our authority,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that in itself becomes a purpose for us, which actually is disengaging, and it's a failing form of leadership.
Yeah.
Leading because I can, leading because I have the authority, leading because I'm supposed to, is not leading with purpose at all.
Yeah. Yep. That's good. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try those things out this week.
And letting go of the outcome, that's just, it's scary.
Hmm.
It's scary for people, right? Because the whole reason we're putting ourselves in this uncomfortable situation is to achieve an
Hmm.
outcome.
Hmm.
So what does that look like, Rob?
I can tell you, and by the way, you know this about me, Tim, is like I am a person in process. So I will never be, no matter how much I think I mastered these things, I will never be the person who's done with this. And so one example is I had a tough conversation coming up. I knew I needed to have it. It involved family and some work things, and there was a specific person. So I wrote him a letter. And that's kind of a form of a conversation, by the way, is that for some I'm sometimes better in writing, not because I'm trying to make it formal or have it documented, but because I just think more clearly. And sometimes I've actually read what I've written out loud. So I sent the letter, and this is a person I was close to. And here's what's crazy, Tim. I had to send the letter and let go of this desire I had that this person's behavior would change. I just had to express why it was important and also be clear about what I thought needed to change. Here's what's crazy. I never knew for sure that that person read the letter because they never told me. But what was weird is the behavior changed.
Mm,
So I am 99% sure that was read,
yeah.
but I never got a, hey, I read your letter. And so when I say that's my example of letting go of the outcome is like I literally had to just let go of whether or not I knew, where it came from,
Yeah.
let go of the behavior changes just to be clear.
It's awesome.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
you reinforce the relationship, the importance of the relationship, right? Which
yeah,
speaks to people. And even if it's a employee employer relationship, like you want that
yeah,
relationship. And I would say if you think about these conversations right, you and the person can probably start to architect the outcome together.
yeah. That's good.